Hey, security peeps. We are live with another edition of Breaking into Cybersecurity, and this is a special edition with our partners, Federal Career Connection. I am Renee Small, cybersecurity super recruiter, helping awesome leaders hire great talent. And I am here with my partner in crime for tonight, Alex Harrington of Federal Career Connection, the founder, the guru, the everything of Federal Career Connection. So, Alex, thank you. Welcome back.
Well, it's great to be back. Thank you so much for having me again. So I guess I haven't sent anything too bad because you're still having me come back again. That's nice. That's really nice.
No, we really enjoy it. And last month, I know I had all kinds of issues. Every month I have issues, but last month I had plumbing issue. It was crazy. So we had to postpone and bump it to this month. So
I did it. Hopefully everything is taken care of.
Oh yeah. We have water. Last month we had no water. We were in a hotel. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about your topic tonight. As usual, as you all know, Federal Career Connections is here helping folks break into the federal industry or into federal government opportunities. So we definitely want to hear from Alex. And Alex, do you want to jump in with your topic for tonight?
No, I will. I mean, and actually, I think it's going to be pretty much anchoring back to the latest blogs that we've actually put on our website. But I just want to say one thing. I was actually a couple of days ago, I saw an article in the Wall Street Journal regarding cybersecurity, basically regarding cyber hits to actually hospitals. I guess there was a hacker, these white hat hackers. I guess they found some texts from some, and I'm simplifying it because I'm not an expert in this field, but this white hat hacker found some texts, some chats from some black hat hackers regarding trying to disrupt medical treatment during the height of the pandemic. And it just made me just appreciate IT specialists, cybersecurity specialists even more, because now what's going on in the world today, especially what's going on in Europe, there's definitely a concern, especially within government, within the corporate field, of potential cyber hits from various either internal or external adversaries. And so, and again, going back to that article from the Wall Street Journal, seeing these texts, because I screenshot some of the chats, seeing the words "let's go after hospitals," that really just was very, it just left me feeling very, unfortunately sad. Because there are people out there who just have such a low regard to life that they would rather that they were willing to go after institutions that provide health care. But it may be even more just gave me more of a respect, and also really just admire those who are trying to protect not only our corporate, our government, any organization, even giving the typical end user like myself good tools or tips to how to protect yourself, because quite frankly, cybersecurity specialists are becoming more so the digital front line in today's, I'm going to call it kind of the ongoing war against what's going on today when it comes to information.
Absolutely. I mean, this is what we've been talking about for quite a few years now, but I think especially in this current crossroads where we are today, it's more global. Like now it's in the forefront, right? It's a topic. It's a constant topic. It's in your face. It's in the media, and it's global, and it's it's impacting lives. And now folks are seeing how, I think before when you talk about security, data security, people may think money. And obviously that impacts your life in a different way, but medical, war, things like that, where it's truly life or death, really goes to show how important this skill set in the profession is.
No, it definitely is. I know even as a typical end user like myself, I have my own network at home, and sometimes I get these alerts from unknown IP addresses in different states or different countries. And I do have a VPN. Sometimes I will actually, when I turn on the computer, I'll actually mask my IP into a different state just to try to protect my network. But you know what? It's just unfortunate that we have to do this. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's like protecting our homes. You have to actually do certain things. Make sure lock your door, protect your car, lock your car door, because there are folks out there, unfortunately, who don't have the character or just the virtues or the respect for others in this world, and they're willing to do things, nefarious things, to actually just cause us angst in our lives, unfortunately. But anyway, moving on from that, as a jump point, Federal Career Connection Incorporated, we've actually this year we're really trying to put this new baby nonprofit on its own little feet. We're trying to get it to walk a bit. And with that, we're trying to create some intangible assets, such as a book or a workbook or something. And so I've been really trying to actually produce more blogs. And I just recently did a series, I believe a 5-part series of pretty much how to navigate the federal hiring process. So if you do go to our blog at federalcareerconnection.org and click on the blog tag, you can actually see our recent blogs from this March. I'll be actually starting another one this evening. But our latest blogs talks about navigation, how to actually, how to maybe leverage the various the special hiring authorities. Also kind of the skinny on direct hiring authorities that a lot of cybersecurity specialists are that a lot of organizations, a lot of accepted service organizations within the federal government, they do offer direct hiring authorities for special fields such as cybersecurity, like Department of Homeland Security, actually. And then, of course, we have blogs out there within this series that talks about the difference between, when it comes to competitive hiring and non-competitive hiring, and also talks about how to look for federal jobs, how to determine what are high demand federal jobs. Obviously, cybersecurity again is one of them. So definitely check out our latest blog, especially the last 5, because I really put a lot of focus in there to try to just help raise awareness and understanding for job seekers who are trying to maybe pursue public service as a federal employee.
And I am going to show the website so that folks know where to go, federalcareerconnection.com.
.org.
Yes,
we are now a nonprofit. I love it.
Yay, woohoo. Because sometimes I know people have seen it as when they see FCC, they think of FCC. So federalcareerconnection.org is where you can go check out the blogs, everything that Alex and the team have been discussing and talking about in regards to, your career in public service.
Most definitely. And I'm also excited. We are also looking at potentially really getting some high caliber speakers down the road, such as some really good authors about how to apply for a federal job, from Nancy Siegel to Lily Whiteman. So it's actually really some really cool stuff is really coming down the pipeline for our small nonprofit. But other than that, yes, so definitely check out those blogs. And the best, I think, and I think back when I first started looking for a federal job, I think the primary challenge was learning how to apply for a federal job. And so our blogs try to kind of provide you the job seeker information, resources, links, and how to raise their knowledge and understanding of how to actually navigate this federal ecosystem. But we are changing the scope of our mission. We're really trying to now help those individuals who do aspire to serve, to provide kind of a one-stop touch point hopefully we'll have something in that area by end of this year, but basically to help individuals who do feel a calling to not only go into public service, such as a federal job or a state job, but also national service, for example, Peace Corps or AmeriCorps, and also military service. I am a very big advocate for those who are eligible. I believe in from at least 18 through like in their early 30s. If you have not served in uniform, there are many ways you can serve in uniform. And it's really a great way to get experience in cybersecurity. So if you're eligible and if you just you're not getting you're getting kind of the closed doors, broken nose syndrome, think about the military. Don't be afraid. Just think about the military because it does provide some really good experience. So we'll be talking about all those type of services as we continue throughout the year.
That's awesome. I love how you say, don't be afraid.
I know.
Right now. But yes, I think that it's a combination of, and I always share this because I don't have experience in this space. And, it's such moving from the New York area into the Washington, D.C. area and seeing huge amounts of veterans, folks that have had public servant experience, military experience, all of it is public service, but military backgrounds and experience. And it just makes I think there is a statistic that 25%, I believe, of corporate chief information security officers have a military background, and they are veterans. So it definitely is a great preparation for this particular field. And I know as a veteran, I think, and you would know better than me, Alex, that folks get a higher, there's all kinds of, like a faster path into federal government roles?
It depends.
Okay.
It's not a guarantee. I think there's definitely, and I tell you what, one of my blogs, actually, it's within the last two blogs up there on the on the internet, so to speak, is that I talked about the various different types of hiring authorities, and I do talk about the veterans, and I list out the various hiring authorities that a veteran does have, and there's only just three of them, really. One is just regular veterans preference. The other one is 30% or more disabled. And then there's one for spouses. But they still have to be qualified. They still have to meet the critical requirements of the position. And I think it's actually, and I know that the federal government, if I remember correctly, right now of the 2.1 million federal employees throughout the U.S. and overseas, mostly under the executive branch, I think roughly between 28 to 32%, if I'm correct, are veterans. And so it's actually a small percentage compared to the rest of the federal government. And somebody may say, let me just say this, if someone who might be watching this recording later, they may think, well, yeah, all federal jobs are just for veterans. Well, I challenge that, because if you look at the statistics, and you can go to actually Officer Personnel Management, OPM, and Google OPM FedScope, OPM FedScope, one word. It's a business intelligence platform, a database, if you will. And you can exactly look how many veterans are in the federal government. And you'll see that most veterans, actually 90% of them, 90% of that, of the 28% in the entire federal workforce, 90% of that 28% are in either Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, VA, because they like really being with their own. So for those individuals who think, well, I just don't have a chance, my advice is look at those agencies that have low veteran population, and you can find that information on OPM's FedScope. It's very easy to find. Just Google it. Go right to it. It's a public database that you can leverage, and so that way you can target those agencies that have low a low veteran population, just for those individuals who are thinking, well, why bother apply us all for veterans? That's actually a myth. Just to let you know, is actually a myth.
Yes, and I just had a friend recently who just recently had was hired into the federal government, and she didn't have a background. She didn't have that background. So yes, I know this, but I'm glad that you're dispelling that myth. Go ahead.
I was going to say another good thing about the federal workforce, and I was talking to a scientist within Health and Human Services. There's a good like 1/3 of federal employees out of the 2.1 million, give or take. There's about 1/3 who can actually retire today. So there's been an increase of retirements in the federal government. So in the population of the federal government, you have roughly, about mid 30% between baby boomers and Gen Ys. Then in the middle, you have over 45% who are like myself, Gen Xers. So in that, mid 30% of baby boomers, they all basically can very near, either most of them or nearly all of them actually can retire. So there's definitely opportunities in the federal government, especially now what's going on with when it comes to the new infrastructure bill, because OPM is advertising those positions that the government is looking for, and also still COVID. So there's definitely opportunities.
Wow, I didn't even think about the infrastructure, all the roles that came from the infrastructure bill, and then obviously continuing with COVID. So tons of opportunity out there, right?
I would say there's always an opportunity for those who have, number one, are tenacious and who have a good work ethic. Number two, that those who are currently in full-time transition, and i.e. unemployed, you're not working at all at this time, then you should be working 40 hours a week for yourself, looking for that job. And I've said to folks, when it comes to, and I've done it myself, when you're full-time unemployed, but you're full-time looking for a job, you're sending out at least 75 resumes a week, 75 to 125 a week. And somebody may say, that's impossible. There's not 75 job advertisements that I can find in a week. And I'll say to that individual, are you just looking for online jobs? And they'll say, well, yes. Well, then no wonder you're not finding a job, because you're leveraging one of the least yielding job search tactics that a job seeker can use, which is just using online job ads. So I do have a weekly job search schedule that I use, or that I actually give to people for free, kind of a pro bono, if you will, that has 19 job search tactics, 19. And so for those who are in full-time transition, number one, you should be working 40 hours a week for yourself. And in that 40 hours a week, you should be leveraging at least, or utilizing at least 7 to 8 job search tactics. And I mean by tactics, I mean by job ads, networking, career fairs, recruiters, cold calling, state offices, volunteering, job clubs. I just listed out 8 that you can incorporate into your 40-hour work week when it comes to looking for a job. Now, I'll be honest with you, Renee, I have not met anybody so far of my 10 plus years of career coaching in the community, giving the workshops and all that. I haven't met anyone who actually works 40 hours a week in job search. And I don't know why. It's pretty unfortunate. But looking for a job is a job for you, which is, John Smith is the CEO of your own brand. You should be putting at least 40 hours a week looking for that job. So if you're tenacious and you have a good work ethic, and you take a methodical approach and look at job searching as a job search campaign by incorporating 40 hours a week, by working 40 hours a week, and incorporating roughly 7 to 8 job search tactics, you will be fine, especially right now when it comes to, there are so many jobs out there right now than we have workers right now. So it's a good time to be looking for a job. Maybe not Federal jobs take longer, but private sector right now is kind of a good time right now, especially in your guys' field.
Exactly. So for folks who, Alex, that blog that you wrote with the tactics, is that also on here? Do you have it readily available, or do you remember the title that I can put up?
No, it's actually, you know what? Actually, it is in there, and I have to remember where I put it. I actually included that job search schedule. But let's do this. I don't want to burn time looking for it. If anybody who's watching this video or who may actually watch the recording, you can find me on LinkedIn, Alex Harrington, and I have, after my name, I have GCDF. And so just send me a message, connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a message, and I'll be happy to send you that weekly job search schedule. It's an Excel base, and I provide directions. But the only thing is, if you're going to ask for it, then you need it, and I hope you would use it and work 40 hours a week for you. I don't like helping somebody who are not willing to pick up that gunny sack, if you will, and charge up that hill. So you have to use it. Don't not use it, because it takes time to put that stuff together and send it to people.
A couple comments here, Alex. Folks are let's see. Well, everyone share where you're viewing from. I mean, I always say that wherever you're listening or viewing from, let us know what city you're in. It's always fun to hear. My friend Dimel says, "Welcome back, Alex."
Hello, Dimel. Thank you.
Thank you for the link. That's David. David also said here, even though it says LinkedIn user here, he says, "Great advice, and I'm interested in the 19 tactics." So definitely, I know that people
send me the message.
People will want to know what those tactics are, how they work. I'm curious myself. I know you talked about it before, but it's always very interesting, especially now in the middle of this. What do they call it? The Great Resignation.
It's definitely yes, and I'm going to let you know that I got those tactics, most of them, from a book. What color is your parachute?
So I do
have the credit to the proper source.
Awesome.
And I modified it, but it actually is a very good tool if you use it. But yes, what you just mentioned, Renee, the great resignation, definitely for those who are, most of them, I think about over, if I remember the last article I just read, most of them are Gen Ys, and it gets fewer and fewer when you hit Gen Xers and baby boomers. Baby boomers are the least who are jumping, probably for obvious reasons. They've been in the job for more than 5 years. They're established.
Right.
So for those who are Gen Ys, for those who are between, say, 25 to 37, and you have a great IT degree, certificate, whatever behind you, and you have some good experience, the market is very good for you at this time.
Hot.
It really is.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's super hard as a recruiter to recruit people because there's so much opportunity, which is great. It's fantastic. When it's easier, it's different challenges, but it's something that I haven't seen yet in my career. And I've asked people who've been recruiting longer than me, folks that have been recruiting for 20 plus years, and they said the closest thing that they've seen to something like this was .com in the late 90s. But .com, again, was so specific. Like, it was specific to technology, whereas this Great Resignation is all types of companies, all types of work, all types of professions. So it's cool. It's a great time to level set, pivot, do all these various things.
Oh,
that
COVID basically took the workforce and shook it by its knees. Yeah, it shook it. So are there any questions? I wouldn't mind. I mean, right now, I see like David from LA and some other folks.
Yeah.
I'm not to say I'm all that, but you do have a career coach right in front of you for those who are watching. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Yeah. I mean, it's really good information. So while they're coming up with their questions and getting ready to post, Tyrone says, "It's been a minute, Renee. Thank you for educating and informing the public. And great advice." I think that was David again. Who else said? Someone else said thank you too. I believe it was Adiola. Is that Adiola from? I had a friend in high school named Adiola. So Adiola, thank you for the link. So these folks are, I can ask a question from someone asked me a question earlier today. So I always am interested in what career coach, because I'm not a career coach, but people come to me being a recruiter, asking a lot of questions. When it comes to, and this person shared her resume, and I know it's difficult to say, like, to be generic when it comes to resumes, but being in the federal government, being a career coach that has seen so many different types of resumes, types of probably LinkedIn profiles over your career, and have people come to you and have you critique them. What would you say are like the top 2 to 3 things that you look for when you are, or top maybe 2 to 3 mistakes people make or challenges they have when they are crafting their resume?
That's a very good question. I would actually lead with this. Hiring managers, because when I build teams either in government or my first job out of college after the Marine Corps, I was hiring for UPS in Cleveland, Ohio. And the one thing I learned, hiring managers do not like looking at resumes. That is the least thing that we want to do. We love having referrals. We love having colleagues or contacts say, hey, I got somebody for you that you need to talk to. That's probably the best way for the job seeker and for the hiring manager to connect, is actually through a referral, a mutual contact. It's just a great way. And obviously, in that, the message is, networking is the best tool that you have. Resumes is not a great tool. It's networking. It's actually having somebody see your work, having somebody actually respond to something that you write online. They get to see your either your writing ability, your thinking ability, your artistic ability. So resumes are the least thing that most hiring managers would like to do. We're not pouring ourselves a glass of Chianti and sitting in front of the fire and reading your resume from front to back. Heck, no. For me, when I look at a resume, it's been a while since I'm looking at a few resumes right now for work for an internship program. But I just do a quick scan on that front page and see if I can see some of the core elements that I'm looking for. So this lets you know, hiring managers don't like looking at resumes. Who does? But I know, on this job seeker, even I feel it, when you write your resume or you pay somebody who writes your resume, you look at it and you see you in there. It's a precious commodity. It's almost like it's a living document because it represents you. So here's the first mistake that a lot of job seekers make when it comes to their resumes. They get too close to it. They get too close to that piece of paper that only serves as a marketing tool for you. The purpose of a resume in the private sector is really to get the interview, get that hiring manager, get the person who can make that decision, catch them for a moment, and then they stop looking at the resume, but they start talking to you. So that resume is an attention grabber. It's supposed to get that interview. It's just a tool. If you think about it, using basic, like a logic model, it's a simple. It's an output, and then output. It's really not important. It's actually what's more important is the outcome, and that outcome is actually the interview. So your resume, the output, its purpose is to achieve the immediate outcome, which is the interview. So just look at it as a tool, as a marketing tool. And if it's not working for you, change it. So, but the biggest thing, don't get close to it. Don't marry it. Matter of fact, when you write your resume, or if you have somebody write your resume, run it through a gauntlet and have people bloody it. Make sure it stays up to date with the latest hiring trends. And when it comes to this, also with your own respective training. So that resume, again, is just a tool. So that first point, always know that resumes are marketing tools. So don't marry it. Don't make it your anthology. It's just a marketing tool, and that is it. All right? Just point blank. Number 2, what I see, and I'm not going to talk about the grammar, spaced, and no, you can Google all that. My experience is when I form my board, my interview board, and I have at least 3 other people on the interview panel. And when I look at the resume, and just keep in mind, when I've done talent acquisition, when I've hired people, where I've recruited, basically conducted talent recruitment, initiatives, building branches or whatnot. When I get like a stack of resumes from HR, I usually do kind of a 3-phased approach. First is I just quickly I skim each one, no more than 10 seconds, and I pick the ones I want to call. That in that second phase, that second part is that when I do call those individuals that I have a little bit of interest in, I'm actually I'm kind of looking at the resume, but I'm really asking pointing questions that are tied to the core competencies, the critical elements of the position, my pain areas. Okay. And I will sometimes, balance back and forth with that resume and with the questions. And of course, the third part, third phase is having an individual come in, and really, I have the resume in front of me, but sometimes I have my own interview sheet where I've already outlined my core competencies and my behavior-based questions, and I'm asking questions. But I know enough of that resume. When somebody gives me a response and I don't remember in the resume, then I actually pull up the resume and I start asking more probing questions. And the second mistake that I find most people and most job candidates is that their responses do not reflect the resume. Either they had somebody else do their resume, or they copied a resume, or whatever they did. Their interview, that on-site interview or virtual interview, when they're doing the interview with the hiring manager, their responses do not reflect what's in that resume. And so when I do further probing questions, such as tell me more about project management, and I look at that resume, and it may give me elements of what project management is, but when they talk, entirely different. So the second mistake most job seekers make is that their answers, their responses to questions, to interview questions, they're not tied into that resume. Remember, that resume is just a marketing tool. So both that resume and what you say, what you speak, should be actually unified together. And they should really highlight the scope and the level of proficiency, both in that resume and what you say. If there's a disconnect, I'm done with them. Okay? So I talked about number one, when it comes to that resume, don't marry your resume. It's just a marketing tool. Its purpose is to get the interview. Number two, make sure what you say at the interview is unified what's in your resume, and make sure you're describing the proper scope and the proficiency level that is actually in that resume. If it's not, I'm done. And third, I think nowadays, especially with the pandemic and even since 2008, with the housing market and everything else, it's okay to have gaps. It's okay to have gaps in your resume. However, it's what you do in those gaps that makes a difference, and how you justify that gap, how you talk to that gap. And it's so important. So having a gap in your resume is not so bad. But if you can't say that during that time of transition, either you're volunteered, or you're helping a family member, or you're going to school, whatever, if you're not providing something that's productive, it may not, that gap may hurt you more if you're not able to say, during that time, I decided to try to be a writer. And I just kind of, closed doors, broken nose. So I went back to, being a cook, whatever. So as long as you're showing that you're still being productive within that gap, that's okay. And then also when it comes to that resume, let's name this third point, kind of some of the minor, the red flags. One is, is gaps, especially, having a gap is not bad. Having more than one gap might be a flag. But the other thing, and I just read yesterday, and I even posted it, is actually it's about job jumping, and Renee mentioned about the Great Resignation. So when it comes to a job seeker and a hiring manager, they both seem to have different perspectives when it comes to either cover letters or job hunting. So when it comes to your resume, it's actually pretty good when it comes to working at different organizations. There's nothing wrong of kind of giving some good stock of your time to an organization, at least 18 months or so. So in your resume, if say in 3 years you had 4 positions, to me that would be kind of, unless you were a contractor and you worked on, or you were in a gig economy and you were a consultant, I would understand. But if you're working for organizations, and I see more than maybe 3 organizations in 3 years, that could be a red flag. So be mindful when you commit to an organization. Some people, especially those who are Gen Xers or baby boomers, I think that the thought process is more than 3 years, just about 3 years or so. Those who may be younger may say, I don't see nothing wrong maybe leaving in 6 months, especially if it's a higher income. Just know, if you do jump a lot, if you're just want to have a different opportunity, either because of more money or just a different change, make sure it doesn't impact your long-term career goals, because it could hinder it down the road long term. So that maybe significant pay raise or just a new great opportunity, it may have a negative impact down the road, but maybe 5 years. So when it comes to resumes, I know this is a long answer. Number one, when it comes to things I just be mindful of, number one, don't marry your resume. It's not your anthology. It's just a marketing tool. Number two, make sure that what you say in the interview truly reflects what's in your resume. And number three, avoid some of the basic red flags, such as numerous gaps or maybe numerous jumps. And those 3 things, hopefully those will be of value to you guys.
Those are excellent points. Excellent points. And I've seen them all, and they do come with a lot of questions from hiring managers. In the person who I was advising today, there were a lot of jumps, every year. And I said pretty much the same thing. There are going to be questions. And in comparison for your top 3, your number 3, in terms of the 6 months, like, think about what it will do for your career. Because it's one thing to have one jump, like if you're at something for a short period of time and then you're at another thing for a really long period, then it doesn't look that, if you were somewhere for 3 or 4, when I call long nowadays, 3+ years, and you've been at somewhere, and then you do a little blip somewhere else, and then you find another opportunity, but you're at that other place for a longer period, 3, 4, 5 years, then, there's not as much question around the 6 months. But if you have 6 months, 9 months, a year, 9 months, then it's like, well, what's the story with this person? And it's just excellent advice all the way around.
I'll add one more thing, and you're right. I mean, honestly, it's definitely a good topic. I think the one thing, when I think about me, and I brag about it sometimes at work, I was even during I was interviewing a potential intern, and I talked about, how much I really enjoy being back at my current agency. It's actually my 3rd time back. And the reason why, in my opinion, and actually what folks have told me actually, is because I bring value. And the way I bring value is this. People say, what, companies are no longer loyal to job seekers. And I get that. I really do. But for me, when I'm with people, even with the volunteers that help me with the nonprofit, I'm very loyal to them. I give them my time. And when it comes to working in an organization, either in a position, on a team, strategically, whatever, I make sure that whatever I do, Alex Harrington's not the point of failure, which I mean is this. You're doing a great job at a company, say Acme, at company A, you're doing a great job. You're doing these great things, but then you jump to company B. But when you left a big gap, because everything you did was really for you. And then when you left, you took that either the skill sets and knowledge with you without leaving something behind. And that's that infrastructure. So for me, I think the advice I would give to anybody, job seekers, people who are employed, wherever you're located, be planted and provide value in a way that is tangible, intangible, by either building a process that actually keeps on going when you're no longer there, building infrastructure, doing something that leaves behind a tangible or intangible value to your teammates, to the organization. So when you leave, the organization doesn't experience a big hiccup. And when you do leave an organization better, or leave a team or a position better where you found it, your name, your brand, it actually goes ahead of you, actually, because people know you. People pass your name along when you bring value to those around you. And so you're not just doing the position just for you, but you're actually making sure that what you do, you're leaving behind something that really determines, are you the point of failure or not the point of failure in any given task, project, program, whatever. And that's when your name does move ahead of you. And it's a good reputation to have. Hence, maybe you'll have an organization who asks you back for the third time as well. So that's one thing I've learned over the years I'll say it, I'm in my mid-50s, and I'm at the point in my career where I'm starting to think about what's that next encore and how do I, grow old doing something else. But the one lesson I've looked back and all the years I've worked, I think the one thing I definitely have learned over the years is always bring value to those around you. It's about us doing work as a team and just doing your best to make sure that you benefit other people, because it does come back around. It really does. You do receive as well when you're thinking about others and you're doing things for others. It does come back, and you don't have to actually make it happen. It just happens.
Right, right, Alex. Such awesome points on so many levels. Um, Folks, if you have questions, please chime in. Alex is only here for another 15 or so minutes, and, and then we're done. But Alex, I wanted to make everything you said is just so pointed and so relevant right now. And I also wanted to share another side of, you talked about providing value, filling the gaps, leaving your employer in a better place and being invited back. Another thing just to think about from a personal perspective, because some people are, obviously it's human nature to think about what you can provide and what you can, or what you're gaining, when you're considering leaving an opportunity and maybe making double the money, whatever it is. And one of those things is that you think about the experience and the training and all of that, for it to all come together. It takes a while. Like, it takes 3 months really to get used to the environment, right? And it takes some time to kind of understand the players and really what the work is about. And you can have especially if you're experienced and you have a technical expertise in something. It's like, yeah, I'm bringing this particular skill, but to understand the landscape and understand the role and really get into the position, it takes a while. So if you're only been in it for 3 months and then you leave after 6 months or 9 months, it's like you don't get a chance to really really fully embrace the skill, the training, the environment, and everything else. And to be able to talk to that in your next companies in another interview. Like, how have a whole cycle, 4 seasons at least, gone around, and what have you done and what have you seen and all of that. So it's just another point. I get it when folks are, if you have an opportunity that's in front of you that you just can't pass up, but just like thinking about it from a consistent, when you're doing that often, it really begs the question, like, what are you looking for? What are you searching for?
No, it's a very good point. I think of what came to my mind is you're putting in your time. I mean, I was actually, I know for me, looking back and the things I've done, the things I had to do, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm glad I'm no longer doing that. Back then, either getting coffee or driving a cab, or cleaning a toilet, or whatever. All those jobs I had, I where I'm at today, where I've come from, I have to admit, going through, I'll call it the suck. Going through the suck really makes me appreciate what I have today. The small, my wife and I, what we will get to enjoy. And we're not millionaires. I mean, civil service don't make, lots of money. But to be able to, look back and look at the experience that I've gained, I'm very fortunate to, be where I'm at today. And I have to admit, I mean, I'm very uncomfortable, right now saying that I'm like, we have to do it for nonprofit purposes. But I'm actually kind of uncomfortable saying that I'm the executive director for Federal Career Connection. And I got these amazing volunteers, including you, on the board of directors, because I know where I've come from. And I know when it comes to being in these type of positions, or even at work, I face it in some ways in a trembling and in the most awesome. I face leadership positions in a very trembling and humble way at times, because I realize what you say, what comes out of your mouth, and how you and how you say it to people, it affects their lives. And that's why I think one of the things what I love about being in the military, and I love how the structure, how the military is formed. You start as if you're enlisted, you start as an E1. If you're an officer, you start as an O1, basically as an O1, and you work your way up. And it takes time. It takes time. And so when you get to that point where you are maybe, you get to maybe lead others, or you get to actually just have influence over others, you have all those experiences behind you to realize that you can actually pull from when you're dealing with different situations with individuals. And you can also empathize or show compassion, or when to stay quiet, when to not stay quiet. All those things come into play for people who want to go right straight to the top without putting in their time. I have an old quote that my first boss here in Washington, D.C. actually once said to me. He said, "Alex, I hope because he knew I was hungry. He knew I was ambitious. And he said to me, I hope you're this eager to jump in my grave as you are in my position." And I looked at him like, he says, "Alex, where I'm at today in this position, it took many, many years. It's going to take time for you. But when you get here, you're going to be awesome." So for those individuals who just want to jump and grow and get into, I met one of them one time. Actually, it was the founder of GovLoop, and I met him one time in a government organization where he said, "Yeah, I just wanted GS-15 just like that when I went into government, and I just realized it was going to take too long, so I left government." And so, and I applaud him for building GovLoop and being an entrepreneur. But it did tell me that this individual wasn't willing to wait and put in their time. So when they did become a GS-15, which manages program and people, they would be a great leader, not someone who maybe just jumped right into it from college to GS-15, where they have no leadership experiences. They tend to make the worst type of leaders. Yeah. So for those who are hungry, It takes time.
Yeah, for sure. So great question here from Tyrone. He said, "I'm beginning to hear from other federal workers that they are being asked to come into the office 3 or more days a week, which is a jump from 100% telework or just 1 day a week. Most of the employees have been in their IT positions for 4+ years. Is it a good idea to find work with another agency where the telework policy allows the employees to work more from home?"
Yeah, I mean, Tyrone, that's a very good question. When it comes to your decision making, obviously, when you look at a position, you look at a job, at a move, you're looking at various decision criteria. You're looking at obviously the top ones are salary, location, mission. Also, does it align with your values, work life? Does it give you free time when it comes to like personal pursuits? So you're the only one who can really answer that question when it comes to what criteria do you use when it comes to making that decision. I know for me, I right now work 5 days from home. I actually tried going back into the office, and they said, no, you're going to work 5 days from home at this time. And so I'm not totally fine with that. But I know for me personally, I do like that hybrid. And there are organizations, federal agencies, where the mission, because OPM, Office of Personnel Management, did put out guidance for telework, remote work guidance. And then basically they're telling agencies, weigh the policy of telework, remote work, weigh it against the mission requirements. Obviously, there are some positions or some agencies where they may not have a robust telework program, but there are other agencies that do. So if you want to work in agencies such as like Homeland Security, CIA, FBI, I haven't read their telework policy, but they may not have a robust telework program compared to agencies such as GSA and other agencies who can really leverage that type of program. But at the end of the day, Tyrone, it really comes down to you and what you value and what's best for you and your family. So I can't tell you yay or nay, because it really depends on various criteria, personal and professional criteria, that you actually have to weigh.
Right. Definitely individual choice, because I know some people do like hybrid and going into the office. And then, some people have gotten so used to being 100% remote now. It's like completely different. Life's changed. Some people moved away to different states, different cities. So now it's completely different.
Big time. Big time.
Yeah. People have left their their homes, moved away.
I know for me personally, I do miss being out in the field. I miss being with agents. And I would rather, so my value is I would love to be with uniform agents, in the operations center and doing things like that, compared to being here. Even though I have like 7 screens with me, I do miss being part kind of the action, so to speak. So this is great. I know as a hiring, if I led a team again, if I decide to go back into management, and I've just been contemplating that because of my health issue, I would definitely leverage this type of program, especially for my top performer, especially if I have somebody who I just can't give them that pay raise. I would love to leverage programs like this to keep good talent and also to increase, work-life balance, as well as, for example, if we have a federal employee who's maybe a GS7 who just can't afford to always do, either dry cleaning, transportation, whatnot, possibly telework can help save them money. And so telework is not like a one fit all. It really is a case by case basis with the individual. And also, again, you have to actually basically compare it to the mission, and can that individual actually work virtually, or do they have to be on site because of operation requirements? Again, it really depends on that individual. I know for me personally, and I was thinking about it today, if I was offered to go to the CIA, no telework, I'd be going to CIA instead. I would love to work at CIA, and give up telework. But if I was working at GSA, where is that? So, it's not so romantic when it comes to the mission, even though it's a good agency, but I would definitely probably leverage the telework more, just to let you know.
Right. Kudos for CIA.
Yeah, we have and of course our, Chris Westbrook. Yay, Chris. She's
Yay.
And also Mike is also from the CIA. So we have 2 people from the CIA.
Oh my God. Every time Chris Westbrook comes on here, I'm like, talk about romanticize. I'm in awe. Like, really? You work for your mom worked for the CIA?
Yeah, it's
It's
amazing.
unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So folks, it is 7:59. Tyrone says thank you for your thoughts, Alex. Ernest is saying hi to the both of us. And I want to be cognizant of everyone's time. It is coming up at the top of the hour. So Alex, any final words that you would like to say? Please let people know what, where to find you, how to connect with you, how to get those 19 tactics for sure. And let me put up federalcareerconnection.org.
Yeah, just
The website again.
always add federalcareerconnection.org to your favorites. I try to keep it updated on a regular basis. I'm going to do one more blog for March, and then, of course, you can find out what's coming up when it comes to webinars. So definitely, just keep following us, because we're definitely trying to grow as much as we can, given that we're all a volunteer group. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Alex, again for being here. Thank you for Federal Career Connection. Like I said before, it is just such an amazing group, and being on the board is I'm honored to be a part of the organization now. But even before I joined the board, Alex was coming because of the wealth of knowledge and information provided from this organization. So we will see you again next month, the last Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. Eastern. And folks, please go check out federalcareerconnection.org. Please go and link in with Alex, connect with Alex, and we will see you. Well, I will see you tomorrow at Breaking Into Cyber CISO Thursdays, but we will see Alex or someone from the team
Next
here
month. Yes.
Next month.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. Take care, guys.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.